My name is Chris Thompson, and I live at 832 Victoria Lane in Palmyra, Pennsylvania. And, we appreciate you as well allowing us to come in as part of this meeting. We met, and we feel that the situation has really gone beyond what is appropriate for this type of condition with these sinkholes and this retention pond. Our goal today is to make sure that you understand that we, all of us collectively here, have a stake in this game. We received some information that states basically that the commission or somebody has stated that this should just be allowed to go back to nature. We don't believe that that's an appropriate solution. All of us, I guess I stated, have a stake in this game. We wake up every day and see this retention pond that has gotten these craters in it. And I'm not sure if you've actually come out and seen it, but it's not really what we wanted from a community. When we all bought here, we bought for various reasons. We love our community. We're all obviously taxpayers. We are good citizens. We do our part to help out the community, to participate in community functions, and we contribute greatly to the community. So what we're looking from you is action. We're not really concerned with how it happened, who's to blame. It's not our burden as citizens to determine who's to blame, but we want some resolution from the commissioners, or at least an action taken to find the money to fix this. Because as you can imagine, if it was your home and you were asked to burden, in some cases, potentially up to $250,000 to fix this retention pond, I don't have that kind of money, and I'm sure probably most citizens of Lebanon don't have that, or the county of Lebanon don't have those resources to do that. So, we understand that this is a first meeting we've had with you as a body. We're strong. We understand it's not going to happen overnight, but we also will not allow it to end today either. We've reached out to several governmental agencies. We will continue to reach out to the media if necessary. But we really want to work together as a community and find a resolution. It's certainly devastating for those who've lost their homes. 2 homes now, one's been demolished, a second home will be demolished, a third home has a hole going under their fence and may have to be affected directly. If nothing's done about this, there certainly will be other homes taken in the future. I can't guarantee that, but it appears to be that way. So again, what we really are looking for is cooperation, understanding that we're feeling the pain of this situation. We certainly didn't cause this, didn't sign up for it. We do understand that some things just happen in life. Hurricane Katrina happened, but governmental agencies helped those folks out. Hurricane Sandy happened. It took a lot of Congress to pass the money, but they're getting help. This happened in August of 2011, was primarily the main event that took care of it. It was Tropical Storm Lee, and we all had water in our yard. There was a lot of devastation throughout the county, as you're aware, especially in Dauphin County. We just believe that this was overlooked. It was left to the homeowner to fix, and we don't believe that's justification. We don't believe that was correct to allow that to happen. So we'd like to, hear your comments, or at least take our position to heart, understand where we come from, and understand that we're going to continue to move this forward as best we can. And we appreciate your listening, and we appreciate you allowing us to talk to you today.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. A 500-year storm would be classified as that, so it certainly puts it in that same category. So I think you're right on, and we do feel your pain. Really, I mean, in situations like this, it's no one can ever be fully aware of what someone in your situation is feeling, but I'm sure we have an idea. So
if this residential community was located in Derry Township, I can guarantee you that this would have been fixed 6 or 9 months ago, if not earlier. So we really think that it is a total disrespect to the property owners for this to go on as long as it has been.
Good questions. Derry, were you expecting when you say Derry Township would have addressed it, are you talking the township or are you talking the county?
Whoever the government.
Well, that's what we're trying to, that's one of the problems that we're having is to who is responsible for this thing. And what government aid, you mentioned that you've been to several governmental agencies. just for the sake of us knowing who you've been to already,
We have written to Mrs. Gingrich.
I'm sorry?
Got Maury Gingrich.
We have sent emails to Maureen.
Okay.
We haven't had any formal meetings as a body with anyone other than this meeting today.
Okay.
I think our desire would be, if this doesn't go anywhere, if there's no action taken, we are prepared to go to the state level.
okay, and I thought I heard that you had been to other governmental
No.
agencies, so I was just trying to
I
make sure.
apologize if that was the case. That's
It might, I misheard it maybe, but I just wanted to, if there were other ones already in the loop, that we should know who they are, yeah.
From the beginning, I've been in touch, and I think probably my colleagues have independently as well, with the state and federal people. There was a window of opportunity where the federal government did buy up properties that were impacted by Tropical Storm Lee, which immediately followed, I think it was Hurricane Irene, because the groundwater had already been saturated just a few weeks prior. That window of opportunity for those properties to be purchased and rehabilitated closed on December 31st, 2012. So they moved on to Hurricane Sandy. And that is what I have been told in writing, that is, and I had expressed that, shared that in advance by several weeks to make sure that everyone knew that was the closing date. Now, I did not know each of you individually at that time were interested, but to some of the parties, I did share that date.
Once again, I don't know the technical details, I don't know all the history of what's happened since the problem became a problem, and significantly a problem. What I'm saying is future, forward-looking. The situation as it is right now is unacceptable. We are seriously demanding action, a course of action. We want a timeline-bound action plan from you, our representatives, to help us correct the problem. We cannot worry about money right now. You cannot tell us that there is no money, there is no funding. We need to correct the problem. We later then can find solutions together, perhaps of how to find the source for funding. It's impossible for me to imagine that there is a forest in front of you and you're not seeing past the forest. We are bringing value and revenue to the community. We have the possibility of making this community much more vibrant than it is. And we have the possibility as neighbors to continue to bring more positive, influential actions to the community. In terms of development, Palmyra, North Londonderry, there's a lot of developments going up, a lot of homes have been built since 2003. I think you would want people to come here and buy homes so that we have a school, a brand new elementary school that just opened up in Palmyra, North Londonderry. I mean, evidently people want to move into North Londonderry, into Palmyra, into South Londonderry townships. We need to perhaps make this community a great community. We can do that. But you can't expect to have a problem like this and just basically let it go. We really demand for this to be corrected. And that's the purpose of the meeting. And the state is always willing to help affected property owners very quickly. Things happen very quickly in Florida. I'm surprised that things appear to be not as quickly here, my personal point of view.
Available.
Yes, sir.
At the time, there's three of us families submitted reports to emergency management, to the county, to the township, and nothing was done.
Okay, there was a process where you had to have, let me get the right,
Those reports were in, they were done.
well, the report is one thing, that qualifies you to be able to submit the rest, but there is follow-up work that has to be done. Property considered for purchase must have a completed and submitted title search before the project can move forward. Again, before acquisition projects, a township or borough needs to submit title searches, which you have to provide to them.
The township never did it.
Did what? Did you submit,
The township never followed through.
did you submit a title search to them?
No, because they never, I talked to a person in FEMA in Harrisburg. I said, did I drop the ball somehow that they said, no, that was the township. The township evidently dropped the ball. They never contacted us, they never did anything. That's my understanding from the FEMA person, I'm not sure his name, out of Harrisburg.
Other agencies, the township, I don't know if they qualify, but the planning commission was involved too, because they had the county engineer out there taking a look at it. Rick Bolts, I don't know if he's still the county.
And actually, he was there, what,
Yes,
2
so-
days after this all happened?
So they're well aware of what it was, and I was told the same thing by the township. They were gonna submit an application on behalf of everybody after the water issue. I had a water issue unrelated to the sinkhole, but that's what I was told by the township. Now, my other concern that I have is that the storm drains, okay, that continue to carry this water down into the sinkhole area. I don't know how that can be considered appropriate or safe when, I guess it was the planning commission approved the plans to have this ponding area to hold that water. Obviously, that ponding area isn't working and not holding that water, so where is the water going?
It could be coming towards our house.
Exactly.
There's gonna be 2 more homes
So,
gone.
so I think it's really a safety issue also, not just personal safety of individuals, but property safety, okay? Continuing to allow that water to be dumped in that area. Has anybody looked at that?
Well, let me take a step back, and I think it was hard to hear at Duke's perhaps, but one of the things that is extremely important is that all of us impact this earth. When we put anything impervious on the ground, we create additional water runoff. So it's important that we look at our own yards and try to recycle as much water there as we can in the form of rain gardens, in the form of cisterns and rain barrels that we can use later to water flowers and wash cars and things of that nature. And I know that somebody may say, well, that's silly. No, it's not, because everybody doing a little adds up to a whole lot. So it's important that we all take responsibility and implement good stormwater management practices at our own homes first. And that will reduce the amount of runoff that will go downhill, which is to the Stephan property. And the second, I needed to say that because I feel very strongly that we don't have enough of people participating in that kind of good stewardship. And then, I'm sorry,
This current storm drain that's there
yes,
is not only from North Londonderry Township, but from Palmyra, okay? And it continues to carry water into an area that was approved to hold the water. It's not holding the water. My question is, has anybody looked at that as a safety issue? And why is it continue to be allowed to drain in that area if it's not holding the water?
I don't have an answer for that right now. I did look at the original plan that was submitted.
The pond was designed poorly.
And going to that, I know I left Duke's under the impression that there was a misinterpretation that the county designed that stormwater retention pond, and indeed it was Joseph A. Mastrana Ardo who was the engineer that designed that pond. I have a copy of the seal here, and that is not an employee or anyone that I'm aware of that the county has contracted.
But doesn't the county have to inspect it and make sure it's
And the county
viable?
inspected it based on the rules at the time, and it met the rules at the time. The rules then are different than the rules now. So at the time, it did meet specs. Today, it probably would not.
Also, there was
I remember reading, because this is a small version, what I remember reading is that the township has the option to inspect, but is not mandated to inspect.
We're not technical people, we don't know who caused it, we're not really the burden to blame. That to be found out by some folks much smarter than me later, if that's the case. What we're looking for is, as my wife has stated, is we'd like to have you as a body and other offices, and the nurse's office, to find the funds to fix it, and then we can litigate afterwards who's responsible for paying those funds. We're suffering, as we've already mentioned multiple times, the consequences of this action. None of our faults. It just happened. It is an act of God. I agree with you. It happened. But that doesn't mean we need to suffer as well. if the civil engineers hadn't repaired the levee in New Orleans, there would be a lot more people dead. So we don't want that type of thing to happen. You know, if that berm, that if you look at the map there, there's a berm where the water flows out. If that goes into Lingle Avenue and some cars are going down there at the time, you could have a couple of people, you know, seriously injured or die in a major storm. So we think it needs to be fixed. We're positive it needs to be fixed. We're hoping you can you understand that from us, that you'll help us get it fixed. We'll provide you with whatever information we have, and we want to work together to get it fixed. That's really our point of being here today.
Looked into a homeowners association to address any future problems?
What future problems?
Well, our understanding is there is a homeowners association,
Okay,
a very loose one that really only covers the townhome, the duplex, covers the duplexes, and it covers things like cutting the
Snow
grass
removal.
and snow removal and things like that. But there is some structure of a homeowners in there. Really has not been made clearly aware to us what, I mean, we were given a list when we bought the home of, you know, don't put a building in back, don't build near easements or some, you know, some
There are
loose
general
things.
guidelines,
Restrictions, deed
regulations,
Right.
restrictions
But
of
we
what
don't pay
you
any
can and
fees.
cannot do.
We don't pay any fees or anything.
Right.
But obviously, you know, that's a great point. If, you know, moving forward, if this gets fixed, we should put in escrow some amount of funds to fix that. And I think the homeowners would probably be willing to do that, knowing the history of this, and that's certainly for moving
Personally,
forward.
I think it would be a good idea for whoever, township, county, prospective new developments, to have a discussion at this level. As I said, coming from Florida, where we lived 15 years, most developments have a paying homeowner association fee. Every quarter, we used to pay $300, $250 to the care of the community. Why is that not an option in Lebanon County?
Well,
that's
many
why
do.
I'm suggesting that perhaps that's what you want to look into.
Many homeowners associations do pay so much a quarter, a month, because they have a liability policy for more the common areas.
Right, common area,
yeah.
common general maintenance, common
Yes.
regulatory.
So that, you're asking
things.
why that's not done here, but it is actually done
But
here.
let me be very clear though, no homeowner association today is should be responsible for fixing this situation that we're coming in front of you, to explain to you what the situation is.
There is no common area.
There is.
There is
exactly.
no common area, so a homeowners association or a liability policy to take care of that. Basically, what is stated, each homeowner is responsible for their own property. And, you know, a homeowners association, you know, with all due respect, might be good in some respect, but it would not be any good to deal with an issue like this.
No, not at all.
And the other point then that I tried to make at Duke's is that when we got to this point, perhaps there needs to be legislation that says that a retention pond cannot be owned by an individual, but has to be owned by an association. To me, that would make perfect sense to mitigate that in the future. Again, I know that sometimes this situation may seem, but others may benefit. And I think that would be something that would be, perhaps we should have looked at. And maybe it's not viable for certain reasons, but I think it can be investigated.
I think that we could discuss this at a state level, at a national level. Certain things that we do in communities maybe should be the responsibility of a government body versus a community, or the responsibility of the community versus a government body. In this case, water that flows through the borough, when it rains in the borough, and from where we can see, in this particular detention pond, the water flows through up from Railroad Street, because it's naturally designed, the landscape, it's designed to flow from north to south, or whatever. So all the water is flowing directly into the pond.
I mean, in
So-
short,
I would assume, though, that they felt comfortable that the design of that pond was suitable to handle that. That's, otherwise they wouldn't have done it. But I you know, certainly we are aware of your concern. I think moving forward, and we're certainly not prepared to give you a timeline today, and I don't think the three of us are in a position to say we're going to find a solution for you. I will say that as a Board of Commissioners, we're certainly willing to discuss this and work with Maury Gingrich's office, and certainly with the senators at the Senate level, and also with North Londonderry Township. I agree with a lot of what Mrs. Thompson is saying, and that is that it needs to be a cooperative effort. No, it shouldn't fall on any of your shoulders or even you as a group. But on the other hand, with all due respect, I think it's a little unfair of you to come here to the county commissioners and say, hey, we're putting it on you and you find a solution. I don't think that's entirely fair either. We're certainly willing to help find a solution. But I don't think it's within our capabilities to solve the problem totally. As a position to write a check, and none of you would want us to do that.
Exactly.
Because you've put us, at least you and the other taxpayers in the county, put us in a position to safeguard the funds that you pay in taxes. So part of our role is to make sure that we don't allow the county to be responsible totally in a situation like this. So, but we are in a position to help. I would agree with that.
Yeah,
But I don't think we're in a position to wave a magic wand and solve this problem from
Investigate and find out why this holding pond failed, why wasn't it built properly?
It was a,
Proper investigation, it should have been put there and not on the other side of the development. The borough didn't want it over there because of sinkholes, but it was okay to put it over on this side with the sinkholes.
on the original,
Now, somebody's negligent, and I want to find out who.
Well, it's already been said here, do we want to spend our efforts trying to point the finger and find someone that was negligent, or do we want to solve the problem? I would much rather solve the problem.
That you should understand that we can bring value to the community, and we can bring revenue to the community. But we could also influence people not to bring revenue to the community, and to influence people that perhaps shouldn't be buying into Lebanon County. Because I understand we live in a geological area, we're sinkhole prone area, from east to west, from north to south. But again, this is a problem that was caused by what it appears to be a poorly designed detention pond. It was approved according to whatever guidelines or regulations you had in place at the time. And I'm curious to find out how often the guidelines and regulations change when any particular county approves a detention pond.
I know from the time Commissioner Phillips got the first call, we were aware of it. He responded, Commissioner Litz responded. So it's not that we've disregarded you or anywhere along the line have we said that sinkhole out there at Lingle and Pajabon isn't important. It's something that we just want to disregard and not pay any attention to. So if you have that perception, you're wrong. We do have concerns for all of the people that live in our county, and I don't think any of us would be sitting here if we didn't care for the community that's as a whole, and that's certainly my reason for serving, and I feel very confident about my colleagues as well.
done a lot of research and tried to find solutions, and at this point, with what is out there, I have not found a solution to your problem. I mean, that's the nuts and bolts of it. So it's going to be taking something creative to find a solution, if there's one to be found, but also in learning from this experience and making things a little different in the future. As I said, one is taking more responsibility to do on-lot what we can. Another is to change who owns the retention ponds in a development when one is put in, so that something doesn't happen again like has happened to the Stephens. I think those are two very important keys. As for the sinkholes, they run east to west along Route 422. It is a known fact. I provided maps to you. They're online. The Conservation District created those, I think, in 2009. You can see all the sinkholes that were known at that time. And so sinkholes are not going to stop. And whatever we do for this sinkhole, we're going to be expected to do for every other sinkhole. So we have to keep that in mind as well. And so these are the kinds of things from this seat that we have to look at, because we can't bankrupt any government, and that's why it's going to take citizens and government working together. One can't point fingers and say the government has to take care of it, because the government can't do everything for everyone, and I say that with a kind heart. We
Okay.
This retention pond was designed for a 100-year storm. It is on the paperwork that was filed. What we had was a 500-year storm. It is a unique situation, and as you admitted, it is an act of God.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, folks.
You're welcome.